Good morning, everyone. This is Tracy Frith, a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Sherwood Park, Alberta. And I'm coming to you this morning to do some creating with the Waves of Inspiration stamp set. So this is a stamp set that it came out just before the new catalog came out, so it's not brand new, but it is current, and I hadn't really played with it much yet, so I thought, let's do that today. So we're going to use the stamp set and a couple of the stamps from the set we'll use, and we're also going to use the dies, not all of them. So they have all of these dies. There's also the ones we're actually going to use. There's a die that cuts out this image, and there's another die like this but a little bit bigger, but you can see it also cuts out the wave shapes and some clouds and some birds. I don't think there's any, I think that's all. So it's got a lot to it, that set. I'm going to put that aside, and the stamps, because I think I have everything out. So hopefully everyone's having a good morning so far. I heard somewhere that it was supposed to be nice out today here, so I'm hoping that's true. Not that I'll get much time outside, but a little bit, I guess. This is the card we're going to make today. So kind of highlighting the stamps more, a little bit more than the dies for this. I'm going to put that aside and we'll get started. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'll go through my measurements here. So I start with a card base. So this is basic white, and it's 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. If you've been watching for a while, you know that's my sort of standard size. Then I have a piece of Blushing Bride. That's what this one is, Blushing Bride, and it measures 3.5 by 4 3/4. I have a piece of one of our new in colors, Starry Sky, and this one is 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. And then another piece of basic white that's 3 by 3, so that's when we're going to start stamping on. And then I just have 2 more scraps of white for the other stamping that we're going to do. Sorry, a little fan going. I'll turn that off here. All right, so let's start with this piece, and I'm going to bring in the large wave die. So you can see the wave die is pretty big. We're not going to use the whole, or the stamp. I'm not going to use the whole thing, but we'll ink it up and see where we get. So I do want to make sure that I'm going to ink up most of it. Probably don't have to do all of it, but just to make sure I've got it all covered. Okay, I think we're good there. And I'm not going to put that away. Yes, I will. All right, so I'm going to stamp my wave near the bottom left-hand corner a little bit more. So I want to go down. I don't want to have the white space at the bottom, if I can help it. So I'm going to go down a little bit lower here and over towards the left a little bit, and then stamp down. And this is one of those stamps that gives has some lighter and darker areas that show up when you ink it. So there we go. And I do have a piece of scrap paper down here because I knew I was going off the edge. Put that aside for a second. Now, while it's still wet, I'm going to take my Wink of Stella, which I need a new one, so it's not quite as juicy as I'd hoped, but that's okay. And I'm going to squeeze some of this stuff down to the bottom here. And I'm just going to start staying on the blue, or on the wave, and I'm just going to start almost coloring with my Wink of Stella. And what that will do too is it will pull some of the blue, because the ink's still a little bit wet, so it's going to pull some of the blue into the white spaces, so it runs a little bit, and I'm totally fine with that, because I don't want it to be quite so stark white all over the place here. This will also add just a little bit of shimmer, which I'm not sure if you can see on the screen. Yeah, I definitely need to get a new Wink of Stella. I should have added that to my last order that I just put in. So this is giving it, my wave, a little bit of sparkle, as well as, like I said, kind of blending the ink a little bit into that white space. I'm just going to cover the whole image. I think I've got it all. And then I'm just going to put that aside to dry a little bit. I think we still carry the Wink of Stella. I'll have to look that up afterwards and just make sure. All right, so that piece can go aside. And then I'm going to do a little bit more stamping here. So I'm going to take, excuse me, I'm going to take this little piece and do my greeting. And the greeting I'm going to punch out with this die. And I'm using the You're Totally Awesome. Because I thought that can go with a couple of different things. You can leave it as is. You can make it a birthday card. You can make it a thank you card. I just want to get an idea of where I want it here. So I'm lining my die up because I have a little piece of paper here. About there. Pull that out. And try and get that kind of straight. Let's see what I did. Looks good. All right, so I'll just make sure that I can line it up in my die because it's kind of a skinny piece here. Yeah, that will work. Okay, so I'm going to put that aside for a second. And I have one more thing to stamp. And then I'm going to do a little bit of coloring. Actually, I'm going to do some blending first and then I'll do some coloring after. All right, so I'm going to take this little pelican guy and I'm going to stamp him onto my other piece of white scrap, and I'm using, or for that one, for the wave and the greeting, I used Starry Sky. I forgot to say that. This one I'm using Smokey Slate, I believe. Yeah, Smokey Slate. So just a gray. Smokey Slate is a little bit drier. I don't want to get those edge pieces that I inked up by mistake there. Oh, there are a lot of them too, so I'm just going to wipe those off with my little cloth here. As mentioned before, I always have like a rag. I think it's a bit of an old towel that we cut up and serged the edges on, but I like having it handy on my table. All right, I just want to make sure that this is going to be, I know that I'm die cutting it, so I need to have a little bit of space around the edges for it to die cut nicely. All right, there we go. Excuse me, so there's all my stamping done. And then I'm going to bring in my piece of Blushing Bride here. And this one, and this whole inspiration came from a card that another Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, her name was Leah Dixon, made her. She did a bit of a fancy fold with hers. So I'm not doing that part of it, but I really liked the what she did on her kind of focal piece. So I'm using that. And I also really liked what she did with this piece. So I'm going to take my blending brush and I'm starting with Daffodil Delight. So a brighter yellow. Excuse me. So I'm just going to start, and I'm going to start at one of the long ends of the card. I'm just going to start sponging the yellow on the bottom, and I'm going to go about halfway up. The yellow, I'm going to do a little bit, I'm going to do a few layers because I want to get it a little bit darker here with the yellow. Up a little bit higher here. Go one more. One more. Okay. So it kind of just gives a neat effect. I never thought to sponge like a different color onto colored cardstock. I thought that was kind of a neat, an interesting technique. I'll have to play with that a little bit more. Clean off my brush a little bit. Lots of people have a bunch of brushes for different color families. I don't yet. It's on my wish list. I'm just not there yet. But I find this one cleans off pretty well in between, so it doesn't make a huge difference yet, at least. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing with Highland Heather on the top half, or the other half of that. So again, I want to start on the other end, and I'm going to go about halfway, so it's going to kind of blend a bit in the middle. And I really like the kind of sunset effect that this gives, because you get the yellow and the purple a bit, but the pink kind of glows through. Or maybe it's more sunrise, I'm not sure. Either one. Something to do with the sun. I'm going to try and make this part a little bit darker. A few more passes over that blending brush. Okay, one more time here. So I was reading our, we do have weekly updates from Stampin' Up! That come out on Tuesdays. So I was reading those yesterday, and we have a new promotion coming up in June. That's kind of exciting. If you liked the kits, the card kits, we have a sale on those coming up in June. It's a BOGO event, so it's buy one, get one at half price, so half off. Which is kind of exciting. We've got lots of really cute little kits. There's a few that are great for kids. There's some that come that you can stamp, and they come with ink, a little ink spot, and the stamps. There's some that require no stamping. So if you or your friends want to do something and they're not really into stamping, you can just put the kits together without having to worry about stamping. And I'm gonna put this piece aside. And I'm going to bring back my wave, and I'm just using a little bit of Coastal Cabana on this, and I'm just going to blend a little bit around the edges just to make it a little bit more like a sky, not quite so bright white here. And you can see I'm not going very, very dark with this at all, keeping it pretty light. Let's go just a little bit more. There we go. Okay, that's perfect. Put that aside. All right. Okay, so I think that is all the ink stamping and inking I need to do. So I'm going to just go behind me here and bring out, oh no, I didn't color. I didn't finish coloring. Okay, so I'm going to color this. Now, normally I'm going to use the blends markers, and normally with blends you want to stamp with Memento ink because these are alcohol markers, and it will cause the regular ink to run. But I'm just going to be very careful with what I'm doing, and it does work. So I'm using a light Saffron. And I'm just going to do the pelican's beak and his legs. I'm going to use the narrow end for this one. So just the beak and his little legs. And I'm assuming those are his little feet on the top of that post there. So that's all for the pelican. And then I'm going to take the light crumb cake and do the posts. I'm going to try not to get ink on the little rope that goes across. Just leave that. So I'm just going to carefully start in the little bit darker areas of the wood. And I'm going to also go in between the ropes here. So there we go. And I'm going to go fill in some of the lighter portions here, and I'll do the same on the bottom. So this is not a very detailed image, so I can get away with using the markers on here. But you wouldn't want to do this on lots of the images. You want to make sure you can stamp it in that memento ink that's not going to run. There we go. So that's all I'm doing, just adding a little bit of color to that. Okay, I'm going to put those aside. All right, now I'm going to take my pieces and die cut them. So I'm going to die cut this with the die that coordinates and my greeting. Okay, so I'm just going to turn around and do that, and then I will be right back and we'll put everything together. There's one. Okay, here comes the second one. There's my greeting. So going back to that BOGO sale for the kits collection. So all of the kits are on sale as long as they're available. And that is happening for the month of June. So it starts June 1st. And then another promotion that we have on right now is if you are interested in joining Stampin' Up! To become a demonstrator, or if you just want to get the discount, there's a 20% discount when you're a demonstrator, or you just want a good deal on a bunch of product. The starter kit right now includes some bonus in-color product, along with, you can build your own starter kit. So you can choose I think it's $165 worth of product out of the catalog, and you only pay $135 for the kit. And then on top of that, you get the in-color products that come with that, called the in-color starter kit. So it's a great deal. Even if you don't want to stay and become a demonstrator, it's a great deal just to get that, all of that product at that price. So if you're thinking of putting in a little bit larger order, that is the way to go. All right, and I got a little bit of glue where I didn't want it because I dropped my piece. I'll wipe it off. Hopefully that's good. If not, I'll bring in my adhesive eraser. All right, so I just glued that focal piece onto my Starry Sky blue. And now I'm going to grab some dimensionals. So I have cut up the edges of my dimensional sheet. You can see the big one. So I've cut up the edges of this. I just finally ordered myself some more mini dimensionals, so I don't have them yet. But I cut a little skinny piece here to go kind of on the beak area of my pelican. And then another one's going to go over here. And then I'm just going to use a couple. I've got the bigger dimensionals that I just cut in half. So I'm going to put a couple of those on here. And then this guy can go on. And then our team is, not really my team, the stamping team that I belong to is gearing up. We've got our annual catalog extravaganza starting next Wednesday. So we're all kind of gearing up and preparing for that, getting everything organized. If you're interested in becoming up or joining us for that, I can still, especially if you're in the Edmonton area, I can get a kit for you. Still, I have enough product that I can do a kit for the extravaganza. I'll talk a little bit more about it. Our deadline was the 22nd for kits, just because we had to order product. But I do have a little bit of extra product, so I can put kits together if need be, a few at least, if you're in the Edmonton area, because then I can deliver them. If not, you can still get them. They just would. You probably wouldn't get them for the event. All right, I'm taking my focal piece and I'm going to, oh, why is that? I cut my piece too small. Darn it. Well, this one's just going to be different. All right, so I'm gluing that on here. It should have a border on either side, but as you can see, I cut it too skinny. What did I do with it? Oh, I did not quite go 3.5. I went 3 1/4. So that piece, I said 3 1/2. It should be 3 1/2. That'll give you that extra little bit on either side. So this one's going to be just a little bit different, which is okay. Sometimes that happens. I could cut a new piece and do the sponging again, but I don't really want to do that. My only thing that I don't like is I don't get the effect of the sponging on the side, which shows a little bit more of the purple. But it is what it is for today. Okay, so this just shows you can make mistakes and it will still work out. It'll just be different. All right, I'm taking some more dimensionals and putting them on the back of my greeting. And then the greeting is going to go on the bottom here. Get it centered. There we go. Okay. Now I'll bring in my card base. Bone folder. So I already had this scored, so it's scored at 4 1/4. All right, and then I'm going to use my liquid glue again. And put this on the front. And then I will show you one more neat little trick with my bling. Okay, so I'm centering that on the card. So I've left a little bit of a bigger border on this one. That a little bit more on my bottom here. There we go. All right, so that's mostly finished. Now, the bling. All right, so I'm just using the basic rhinestone jewels, but a little trick here. How did I do this? I used the Starry Sky, I believe it was the dark. So the dark Starry Sky and Bermuda Bay. And I'm just, because I don't have, well, I do have blue gems, but they're not currently available. So I wanted to use something that everybody could use along with me. So I just took, if you have the blends, you can color your rhinestones in any color you want, as long as you have the blend of that color. So you just take your blend and you just add color to the top of your rhinestone. And now I have blue rhinestones that match my card, right? So as long as you have blends, You can make any color you want. I'm just going to add a few of those on. So I made a couple of lighter ones and a couple of darker ones. There we go. All right, so there is my finished card for today. Now, do a couple of other things here. I talked about the BOGO kits. I talked about the In Color Starter Kit. And any of those, if you're interested in ordering those, you can use my website, tracyfrith.stampinup.net. And the host code for right now is XAZHP4BP, and those letters are all capitalized. I'm not sure if that matters when you type it in, but it's there just in case. And my winner of last week's card was my mom. So again, you can be entered in a draw to win the card that I make if you comment or interact with my videos either live or on the replay or on what's that called? YouTube, once I post them on YouTube. Now, I didn't get last week's video posted yet. I do the videos on Wednesday. I left on Thursday to Victoria for a competition with my for my work. And I didn't get back till Monday, later on Monday. So I haven't had a chance to even get that posted yet. So I will post it. It will be late. I'm sorry. But I will get that one posted and this one posted over the next couple of days. And so this was last week's card that my mom won for the draw. So I'm going to put that aside. And then I'll just quickly go over a couple more of the details again for that extravaganza. So extravaganza starts, well, the extravaganza itself is on June the 4th, on Saturday. And on June the 4th, we will have a make and take session in the morning where you will get, if you got the kits, you'll have 6 make and take projects that you can do along with us. That starts at 10. And then throughout the afternoon, there's going to be 6 additional pre-recorded videos, that will introduce some of the in color product. So this extravaganza is based around the new in colors, and also the make and take projects focus on the bottled happiness bundle. All of the pre-recorded videos throughout the day will focus on additional in color product, and then starting on Sunday, I think it's May 29th, this Sunday, upcoming Sunday anyways, you're going to have 6 bonus lead-up videos, which will be shown through Facebook Live. It's Facebook Live, and when you join this extravaganza, you'll get access to the Facebook group, and there's also a web page that you can access that will have all of these videos streamed on the Facebook group and posted on the web page. And they'll be there, so you can go back and look at them. They'll be there for forever, I think. All right, so that is what's happening with that. I see my mom has just joined in, so hello, Mom. Glad that you could make it on. And then to participate in the extravaganza, you can place a minimum $60 order using this host code. And again, that gets you free access. You can pay $39.95, and that will get you your make and take kits if you don't want to place an order. Make and take kits and access to the private Facebook group. And again, for those 2 options, if you are in the Edmonton area, I can get you your make and take kits. If you're not, I won't be able to do that, and I will only be able to do a limited number because our deadline has passed. Unless my supplies come in early, I will probably not have them in time to make them and mail them to you at this point if you're not in the Edmonton area. But you can still participate. The other option is, again, if you join my team, you get free access. It doesn't include a make and take kit though, but you get free access to everything. And if you live outside of Canada, or if you're joining late and you don't live in the Edmonton area, you can purchase an all access pass for $35. That will get you everything but the make and take kits. All right. So all of those things you can do if you want to send me a message. So if you want to place the order, you can just go here and place the order and I'll get the notification and I can send you your stuff or get your stuff to you. If you want to join in any of the other ways, just send me a message at artfullystampedwithtracy@gmail.com, or you can send me a message through Facebook on this page and we'll get you registered and set up for that event. It's going to be lots of fun. All right, so hopefully everyone has a great rest of your day. Thank you again for joining me today. And I will see you. I might not be doing a regular live next week because next week I am doing the lead-up video on Wednesday for the extravaganza. So depending on what time I have, I may skip the Facebook Live for Artfully Stamped and move it to another time slot. Okay, so just keep your eyes posted for that. All right, talk to you soon.